welcome to another edition of Tiger Talks. I'm Saida Terrence, the Alumni Coordinator for Warrensville Heights City School District. This month, our guest is none other than Mr. Lonnie Coleman from the class of 1966. Mr. Coleman is the owner of Coleman Spawn, a mechanical contracting company here in Cleveland, lots of C's. And he is here to share his journey with us as an alum and as a successful business owner. So without further ado, Mr. Lonnie Coleman. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When they say old school, I guess I'm the old school guy. 1965 was a long, long time ago when we moved to Warrensville Heights City. And it was a little different for us if you recall, in the 60s, and it's probably history for you, Sadia, we were in the midst of the civil rights movement. The Fair Housing Act came about in the early 60s, and a lot of Black families were moving out of inner city Cleveland out to the suburbs, to Shaker, Mount Pleasant, which was not a suburb, but the east side of the city of Cleveland, and Cleveland Heights and so forth. And my mom and dad chose to move out, and they were looking for houses on the southeast side. And they end up buying a home in Warrensville Heights on Garden Boulevard. And that became our stepping stone into the city of Warrensville Heights and my life as a Tiger and at Warrensville Heights City Schools. It was a different time because when I went to Warrensville, it was kind of like a cultural shock. When I went there. Now, I came from East High School, which was in the city of Cleveland. We grew up on 90th between Superior and Wade Park. And while East High School was an integrated high school, when we moved to Warrensville, it was totally different than that. In fact, I was the 5th Black student in Warrensville High School in 1965 when we entered. There were 4 other students. We had Bonnie Rollins, who lived on Whitfield, and she was a senior. She was in the same graduating class as I in 66. Clarence and Willie Self, they lived on Mayfair. And Clarence was in my graduating class, and his brother was a year behind us. And then we had Luther Demery, and he had lived on Parkton, and he was a senior, but he didn't complete his senior year at Warrensville. He moved back to the city of Cleveland and went back to East Tech High School. But it was an awakening. It was like a cultural shock for us early on. But like anything else in life, you kind of get used to it. You meet new people, you gain new friends, and you build relationships that carry on to the future. So Warrensville was, for us, it was a little rough because I was 15 when we moved to Warrensville. And, as a 15-year-old, you have a lot of friends that you've come to put together, and then you have to leave them all of a sudden, and it's like starting all over again. And so my brothers and I, who came to Warrensville the following year, we didn't particularly like Warrensville because of the big change. And we used to sit in our living room on a Sunday and bemoan the fact that, well, why did you bring us out here? We had all the friends over there. We're in our old neighborhood. And it brought my mother to tears one day. And we said, I think we've made a mistake. And so we got a rude awakening from her side when she started raising heck with us about what they were trying to do for us in our lives and the improvement and everything. And as you get older and you look back at that, you said, your parents had made a good decision. They were doing good things for the family and to make sure that we have a good quality education and a good quality of life after the fact. So it worked out really, really well for us. So at Warrensville Heights High School, I ended up playing football on the football team. Bob Mills was the football coach at that time, and he eventually moved over to Solon to become the athletic director. And Mr. Rudy Kosgard, he was the athletic director at Warrensville. And I think the stadium was named after Mr. Kosgard, who was a great individual. He kind of like took me under his wings. And, I could consult with him. I could talk with him if I was having issues and everything, because it was really a different world, for us at the time. But the teachers and everyone were really great. The students there were really great. They kind of embraced you, and took you under their wings and help you through the process of being in a new school environment, because you could easily feel alone out there because you didn't have numbers, and so you're dealing with what was there to deal with. So fortunately, I had experience at East High School because it was somewhat of an integrated school. And there were some things we also did over there. I was in the Council of Human Relations, where at that time we were at Harry Davis, where I went to junior high school. We were interacting with the kids at Wiley Junior High School and getting together and doing home visitations with each other, and then having events that we would share. So I was very comfortable in being there. But it was like a real cultural shock in the beginning, but you get over it as the days and the months go by, and you gain the friendships and be able to create some relationships with people that turn out to be, in my case, very fruitful.
That's excellent. So, after coming to Warrensville and experiencing this big change, what were some things about Warrensville that, aside from being new and having to like re-socialize and make new friends, what were some things that you really gravitated towards that you grew to appreciate as a student?
Well, the friendships were one. We were able to gain some really, really great friendships with some of the students at Warrensville Heights High School. I played sports out there. I was playing football and got a chance to meet a lot of the football players. It was a different world, for us, so to speak. But we were able to gain some really, really great relationships, some great friendships that I still have today. I was standing in the bank one day and Bob Mills, the football coach, he happened to be in the bank, and he turned around and he saw me, and in a crowded bank, he's, "Lonzo, boy, it's really great to see you. And man, you were one of the greatest football players I ever had." Now I'm kind of getting embarrassed because everybody's looking around. He says, he was one of the best students." but it was really a fun time. And then, it was different being a pioneer too. So, because you had others that followed behind us, and then you tried to, work with them and help them through the changed environment that we all were participating in at that time.
Oh, that's excellent. That's really great to know, even if you did get embarrassed in a bank. So upon graduating, what guided your decision to enter into the trades?
Okay, what happened for me when I graduated in 1966, I went to Kent State for about a year, and I came home and I was looking for a summer job. And I had a friend of mine who had just gotten into the electrical trades. And he said, "Well, the pipe fitters are hiring." And I said to him, "Well, what's a pipe fitter?" He says, "Well, they're like plumbers. They just don't mess with toilets and sinks and that kind of stuff." And dumb me, I'm saying, "Oh, okay," because I had no clue. And so I put in an application with the pipe fitters and was accepted in March of '69, I think it was, and did a 5-year apprenticeship, worked 2 years as a journeyman pipe fitter, and decided that if I was going to have some upward mobility in my life, then I might want to do something a little differently. So in 1976, I joined forces with a sheet metal worker. At the time, we were building the Tri-C campus on Woodland Avenue, and we were doing the buildings that ran down the Woodland Avenue side. And so we became friends and started having conversations about maybe we should start our own little business and see if we can what we can make of that. And we did. And we created this company called Cojan Corporation, and started doing heating and air conditioning systems on a small, very, very small basis. We started it with $10,000. We really didn't have many dollars to be able to do much of anything with. And so we were very, very careful on the size of projects that we pursued and the kind of work that we were going to do. But eventually, we were able to grow that company, and it worked out really, really well for us. It was a tough time as well, because $10,000 is not a lot of money to start a construction business. But we were able to do it, and we pulled it off. And then over the years, we were able to grow the company. And then eventually, when we hit our peak, we woke up one day and we had 750 employees, and we were in 7 cities, 6 states, and Puerto Rico doing facilities management work. That work included 2 Navy bases. We had the Roosevelt Roads Naval Station in Sable, Puerto Rico. We had the Jacksonville Public Works facility in Jacksonville, Florida. We had 5 EPA facilities in Narragansett, Rhode Island, Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, Cincinnati, Ohio, Gulf Breeze, Florida, and Las Vegas, Nevada. We had 2 Army bases. We had the 7th Single Communications Command Post and the Underground Pentagon in Hagerstown, Maryland. And we had the Yuma Proving Grounds, where we were hauling ammunition for the Army. So it grew to be something really, really special for us. And so what we eventually did, because we had such a wonderful opportunity, not only for ourselves, we had created a company with a social consciousness. And we had said to each other, hey, look, whatever we can do to not only better the environment and the lives of our families and all, let's see what we can do for others as well. And so we created job opportunities for people to come in and be project managers. We've given them the authority and the responsibility to be able to manage portions or parts of our company. We're able to reach back into our community and hire, from within, because we wanted to help in improving our communities as well. One of the things I did personally was to go back to Warrensville Heights High School and do some of the career days, talk to some of the people I knew, introduce them to the building trades, because at that time there was not a whole lot of exposure for individuals in the building trades. And so we were able to introduce a number of individuals into the building trades. And at one time, we might have had 10 to 15 graduates of Warrensville Heights High School working for our organization. And so it turned out to be really nice. And it's really great to be able to grow something and then be able to reach back and help others along with what you have been able to create. So it turned out to be a good situation for us.
That is excellent. And that's quite the resume. Hauling ammunition. That is amazing. Because no one can really brag about that too much. So after creating this company, then how did Coleman Spawn come to be?
Well, what happened was when we started the organization, we were doing small mechanical contract, subcontract work for the Spawn Corporation. At the time, the Spawn Corporation was a company that was formed in 1911 in Cleveland. And we started doing work for them like 77, 78. And they fell on hard times, and they were about to be liquidated. And we got a call from them one day and asked if we would be willing to take over their company, or taking a look at their company and see if it would be a good fit for us as we were growing our organization. So we did take a look at it. And at that time, we decided that we couldn't do a stock purchase because there were some liabilities associated with it. So we ended up doing an asset buyout of that corporation. And as we took it over in 1994, and they had done a lot of private work in Cleveland. They worked with PPG. They were doing stuff with National City Bank, and they were doing stuff with Key Bank. A lot of the big corporations in town. In fact, they put the HVAC systems in the National City Tower on 9th and Euclid. And that was one of their major projects. And one of the last projects they did was the 62-story Key Bank Tower. They were responsible for the air conditioning, the HVAC systems in that building as well. So we were quite surprised when we got the call, because they were one of the mainstays in our city. And so we eventually looked at it and made them an offer to buy the assets, and we bought the assets from the bank. And then we started working with that organization. We moved in, we had to let some people go. We kept many of the people, and then started moving forth in growing and developing that company, and eventually changed the name from Coleman Corporation, which is where we purchased it, I bought the partners out in '97, and then we changed the name to Coleman Spawn Corporation, and that's how it exists today. But
Wow,
it's been a wonderful opportunity. Mhm.
that's excellent. And that's really interesting. And I want to know, what was the transition like from a early, like working early in the trades to becoming a young business owner of a small business to growing where you are now, where I'm sure you're not really going out and doing the work yourself? How does it feel to go from being so hands-on to now being the owner and being the boss and, working with different things in terms of like working with employees and just operating a business? I'm sure it's very different and difficult in a different way.
Oh, it is. When we started out, it was just the two of us, and we did everything. We drove the truck, we ordered the equipment, we managed the labor, we did the accounting, and any paperwork that had to be done, we did it. And when we were estimating projects, because we were so busy during the day, either working out in the field installing systems, that we would take those home at night to do it. And I found myself working 7 days a week, any waking moment doing estimates or doing something associated with the business. And then one day my wife came into my estimating room and told me that if I didn't stop working 7 days a week, she's going to give me a hard time. So I stopped working 7 days a week, and she gave me 1 day. But no, it's a big change because you find yourself doing everything, but you can't grow doing everything. So what we ended up doing, we finally hired a receptionist, someone that could answer the phones and help us out with the books and everything on a part-time basis. And we realized when we hired this person, we were able to go out and get more work. And so we said, well, this is a direction that we need to be going in. And so prior to getting our first contract with the federal government, we did a project at NASA. We had about 12 people working for us. And then we picked up a contract out there, and it put 26 people on our payroll almost immediately. So then we had to go out and hire other people to help us in managing what we were doing. So it became a little tough, because at that time, we didn't have a whole lot of money to grow and develop. We had to go out and get us a line of credit from the bank. We were able to get a $25,000 line of credit to help us in some respect. And then we were able to continue to grow the company. And next thing you know, we had 50 people, then 75 people, then 100 people. And then you find your duties change because you're doing more and more things related to growing the business and not actually being a hands-on individual in the business. And today, we currently have about 60 people working for the organization. And we've got managers in place in various functions to be able to help with that management of what the work that we're undertaking now. So it makes a big difference, but it's something that you got to face the reality and realize that you can't do everything. You're going to have to give some people the authority and the responsibility to be able to help you, and they have to act like they're owners of the organization as well. And it makes it flow and work out really well in that instance.
Oh, that's interesting. Because it's interesting that nowadays a lot of people are encouraging not just young people, but anybody to start a business. And I think for a lot of people, the idea is nice, but I'm sure the reality isn't as easy as some people make it seem. So hearing that is very interesting, and it provides a lot of insight, which I appreciate.
No, yeah, no problem. It's, starting a business is more than a notion. When we started our business, we did it because we wanted upward mobility, as I said before. But there were those who didn't think we were going to last 6 weeks. In fact, we had a guy say that these guys, they don't know what they're doing. They're not going to last 6 weeks. But it's something that we stepped out there to do. It was our dream. And so we knew that if we're going to make this successful, that success had to come from us. We started the business, and we couldn't depend on anyone else to make that business successful. It was purely on our shoulders to be able to do that. And we were fortunate enough to have the stick-to-itiveness, if I may, and and cut that path and be able to grow it. And now that it's here, and we've seen some success, and I say that with parenthesis, because we all judge success at different levels. It's important to us to help others, okay? And we get an opportunity, we want to take that opportunity and see if we can make it an opportunity for more than just us. And so far, it's worked out pretty good for us.
I think it has as well, with my limited knowledge about trades. So I'd like to know, being like where you are now in your career, what does day-to-day work look like for you? So you wake up in the morning, you make your bed, you brush your teeth, get coffee, and then you go to work. And what does that work day look like?
My work day is usually busy. It depends on if I have a 7:30 morning meeting or downtown or something, but I try and get out of here about 8:30, get to work about 9 o'clock, but I'm usually there till 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And so when I get in there, it's a constant stream of people coming through my door during the course of the day, because we're doing so many things and we're not limited just to Cleveland. We have an office in St. Louis, we have an office in Columbus, and so we're constantly having conversations back and forth. We're either on the phone or we're on Zoom, or there's some types of communications going on. And then I sit on a number of boards in this town. So, so we have that. And then I'm mentoring a couple of individuals as well who have companies, and they're trying to grow and develop their organization as well. And we're also trying to bring in other people. We have the ability with one of our contracts to bring other contractors in. So we try and get some of our other small businesses in town that are trying to grow their organizations involved with us, so that we can possibly help them grow theirs. And it's a constant day for me. I'm constantly on the road. I'm interacting with our managers and that manages our different groups, or there's meetings all the time. And so it's a busy day. So when I get home at 9 o'clock, I'm whipped, but my day doesn't stop there. I'll come home, I'll get in my office at home, and I'll finish up something, or I'll start on something. And my wife will usually come in and wake me up and tell me it's time to go to bed, but it's just in the blood, and you just got this energy to want to just keep pushing it, because we want to see it grow. We wanted to see it become a 100-year-old company, and we know that we do a lot of good, for our employees, and a lot of good in our community. And whatever we can do to support and help, we want to be there for that. But it's a very, very busy day for me.
Wow. Well, I can really respect that. I really like knowing that, even after a long day, you're still typing away or working in your office at home. I like
That's
that.
correct. Right.
Okay.
That's correct.
Well, I have another question for you. So I know you've had countless projects with so many companies. Do you have a favorite? Do you have one that was like your favorite? Like, working with this company was really interesting. I didn't know a lot about them, but now I really enjoy working with them. Do you have any of those?
Yes, in fact, I have a number of them, but one particular project stands out. Now, we've done work we were on the construction management team for the building of the Cleveland Indians ballpark when that was going up. We did the underground piping for the Cleveland Browns Stadium when they were doing that. We did the Mondia Hoosier facility up on Chagrin and Richmond Road, which is right there next to Warrensville Heights. We've done a number of prestigious projects, but the one that stands out most in my mind was we installed the HVAC systems for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Ooh. And what makes it stand out was I was able to walk the red carpet at the grand opening, and I sat at a table with Aretha Franklin.
Wow, that's so cool.
I got to shake hands with Smokey Robinson. All the stars were there. Yeah, all of them were there. It was really, really fantastic. And then I was, because we were on the construction management team for the facility, we were invited to New York for one of the induction ceremonies, and I got a chance to meet Whoopi Goldberg. And so it was fantastic. But that stands out foremost in my mind, in my memory. was a
That's
fantastic
so
opportunity.
cool. It's
Right.
like even though like you did the work, it's still like a little bonus. Like,
Oh
hey,
yeah,
go meet all
absolutely.
these
Yes.
people.
Yes,
That's
it was fun. And it's
that's
nice to
so
have that in our portfolio.
yeah. You get to tell people I met Aretha Franklin. And then
Yes.
in your head you can say, did you?
It was good. Yeah, it
That's
was
so
good.
neat.
Yeah.
So, being that you've had so much success from working in a trade, why do you encourage students or, young people to not even if they don't go into a trade, just consider it? Why do you feel it's so important?
Well, what we like to do when we talk to young people about the building trades, we want them to look at it as an option. College was an option. My dad and my mom wanted all of us to go to college, and we all did. Now, all of us didn't finish, but we did. And we had an opportunity. I had an opportunity to get into the building trades, not knowing I had that opportunity because all I was looking for was a summer job. And it turned out to be a fantastic opportunity for me. But what happens now today with the building trades, and it wasn't like that when I went through, if you go into the building trades apprenticeship today, all of the hours that your school hours, OJT, is counted toward a college degree. You can do a 5-year apprenticeship with the pipe fitters in my case. You could do a 5-year apprenticeship. All that school time, you go to school once a week and you work 4 days a week. All that school time counts for towards the college degree. So if you take your prerequisites, English, history, or whatever they are today, then when you're done, you'll get an associate's degree. And then you can take that associate's degree. Now, mind you, you got an associate's degree and you're debt free. Okay.
Yeah.
So you could take that associate's degree, go on and finish your 2 years of, engineering or some other courses or classes that you want to take if you want to, stick in the industry and just go to that next level and do well. And I have to let you know also too, is what we pay a pipe fitter and a plumber today. A pipe fitter or plumber gets $125,000 a year with benefits.
Wow.
He's instant middle class. Okay. When he signs up, he's instant middle class. Okay. And so it's a great opportunity to use your mind, use your hands, build things. And I just think it was a fantastic opportunity. In fact, when my son graduated from Tuskegee, I tried to convince him, now you need to go into the building trades and learn how to be a pipe fitter. And it's something that you'll never take away from you. It's a job that's not going to be exported. If you want to go work all over the United States, you can do that. Once you get that book, you can go anywhere to work. And then we have sister associations. We're associated with Great Britain. We're associated with Canada. And we're associated with Australia. You can go to any one of those places and work if you want to take the opportunity to be able to do that. But the big thing is convincing our scholars and students that it's an option. College is an option. Here's another option. And then some people, maybe they're not ready for college yet. They want to sit out a couple of years, or maybe they'll do college later. Well, here's an option. Give it a shot and see. You'll make great money. The money is good. And that 125,000 it's a straight 40 hours. There's no overtime involved in it. It's a straight 40 hours with benefits.
That's nice.
It's a great opportunity.
I think that's an excellent option because, I graduated from Warrensville in 2017, and even then, I feel like there is an expectation of most students to just go to college. But I think looking back, I can say, well, if you are sure what it is you want to major in and what you like to earn a degree in, by all means. But if you're not so sure, maybe don't jump into going to school just yet. Maybe take a little time, figure out what you're interested in, professionally, and then explore. So I think what you're offering is a great opportunity for a lot of students to really look into it, like you said, different options they have after school.
Right. And now's a good time too, because with the retirement of the baby boomers, there's a real super huge loss of skill sets leaving the industry. So it's opening the door for a lot of our young people to be able to take advantage and find an easy path in now because at one time it was very, very difficult to get into the building trades. But now it's a great opportunity to be able to get in and be able to do it and participate in the opportunities that it has to offer. And then you look back too at when I was in school, high school, they had vocational education classes. You know, you could take auto mechanics, you could, you take industrial arts or electrical classes or what have you. And then all of a sudden, with the push to college, and I'm not knocking college, I think college is a great option for everyone. I really do. And but what they did was they deindustrialized our schools, they deindustrialized our communities with the factories and all moving out and further away. And they weren't filling the roles or creating that opportunity for young people to have jobs in the skilled trades or tool and die making. It doesn't have to be just building trades, but tool and die, machinists, and some of those things. So we lost that. But if you look at what's happening now, including in Warrensville, Mr. Jolly and the school board has done a great job because they're bringing the vocational skills back into the schools to have that as an option for the kids that want to go in that direction. And like I said, maybe want to do college later, or maybe don't want to go to college, but they have an option where they can go out, learn a skill set, learn a trade, and be very, very viable to someone as an employee or associate, or maybe one day do their own thing in business. But those things are all coming back all over the country. And there's a lot of great opportunities to be able to grab some of those technical type jobs.
Yes. And I agree. And it's funny because when I was in school, I graduated last May, but in college, I always said to people, oh, I'm not very STEMmy. You know, STEM is what people mention a lot: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So in my mind, I always assumed to like do what you do or anything along those lines, you had to be an engineer. Because it's funny how many like engineering students I met in school. It seemed like there's a real push for students to be an engineer, but it's nice knowing that you don't have to go that route to still be successful and still do something well in a professional sense.
Yes, absolutely. That's lack of exposure, I like to say a lot of times, because a lot of our students are not exposed to building trades or other avenues or ways to be able to make money. I know in Warrensville now they have that the ACE mentoring program where they have the students, architectural, construction, and engineering, getting the exposure, interacting with architects, interacting with engineers and construction people. And because of that, now they look at careers in those industries and they see that they could do some really good things if they want to go in that direction. And it helps them in their setting their minds as to where they want to go. When I was a kid, growing up and I was young, I want to be a policeman. Why? Because that's what we saw. We want to be a policeman. You want to be a postman, and those were the things, because we didn't get the kind of exposure that the children or the scholars are getting in today's environment. In fact, the pipefitters program wasn't even accessible to me. It was a lawsuit filed by the federal government in '68. Really? Against the unions to open the door for Blacks and other minorities to even get into those unions. And then once we got in, we showed that we had the skills and the talents to be able to do the work, and you become accepted and you just grow and flourish from that standpoint. So you got a lot more opportunities for the kids, but we have to prepare them as well. We have to give them as much exposure as we possibly can, so that they can have some really, really great lives for not only themselves, but for their families as well.
Oh, I completely agree. So I just have a few more questions before I open up to some viewers. One of which is, what were some crucial lessons you learned as a Warrensville student? So while you were in Warrensville, I know you mentioned coaches and teachers that were really important to you and made an impact. So what were some lessons as a student you learned that you'll never forget and that, really became things you utilize on a daily basis?
Right. Well, one, you learn to get along with others, and you learn to appreciate other cultures. When I went to Warrensville, it was primarily an Italian high school, so you learn to get along with different people. You learn that everyone has a lot of people have different ways of doing things, and we learn to interact very, very well with the student body, and which was very important. But I guess one of the most important things was to be able to build relationships with people. And those relationships you could take with you everywhere, anywhere. And you don't know how far in the future you can take those relationships. And many of the students I graduated with in 1966, I still know today, still interact. And which was, we just built some great relationships. And you never know how a relationship can come back and be very, very helpful to you and whatever. And I tell my kids all the time, look, one of the things you need to do is build some really strong relationships with people that you're interacting with in school. And because you never know when you might need to make a phone call, somebody somewhere that might be able to help you. And you never know when somebody might call you and ask for help because you have a position or a role someplace where you can do that, and you want to be there for one another. And so at Warrensville, while it was a new experience, it was a good experience for me. And the relationships built over the years have been fantastic.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm so glad to know that. That's so wonderful. And I'm glad that you're able to do that in Warrensville Heights.
Oh, yeah.
So another thing I like to know is what would you, your 12th grade self, think of you today?
Well, as a 12th grader looking at me today, they said, is this guy for real? Does he really think he could do that?
Mm-hmm.
And look at it. He did it. He fought all odds and he did it. He had very little money and he did it. I'm proud of him because he stuck to it.
Yeah.
Okay. He did it. Even when they wouldn't even, he couldn't get into the building trades. He didn't know he couldn't get in at the time, but he stayed there. He hung in there. And after he put in his application, 9 months later, they called him and, he made it. He opened the door for others to be able to follow and do just as well. And he created a path and he did it. He built something that someone said that he wasn't going to be able to do. He wouldn't last 6 weeks. And he ended up in Washington with a White House visit where they were named Minority Contractor of the Year. Man, that was fantastic. So he succeeded. And we'd love to see others do the same thing, following in that footpath and succeed as well.
That's excellent. So and you know what? You have succeeded in a lot of ways. And I think it's wonderful to, through Tiger Talk, see so many people who are successful in many different ways that have all come from Warrensville Heights. Because I can just say, hey, I went to the same high school as this person. Not too many people get to do that. Right. So I really like being able to meet different people who are so successful and so knowledgeable too. That's another thing. I like being able to learn about what it is that people do.
Right. So one of the things that we've done as an organization, we've reached back into our Warrensville Tiger community. Mm-hmm. We have a number of people that exist in the same industry as we do, AKA is a graduate, Ariane Kirkpatrick, a graduate of Warrensville Heights High School. We've interacted and worked together. We support her in her efforts with the ACE mentoring program. She supports us in our effort at the Warrensville Alumni Foundation. We participate with each other on contracts. We have Fatima Ware, who's also a graduate of Warrensville Heights High School, that's working with us on projects. And she's asked me to be her mentor, and I told her I would do that and whatever I could do to help her. And we just have to keep growing our Warrensville circle and get more and more people in that circle and grow it, and expand it and have so many, many more Warrensville graduates out there doing really, really good things in our community.
Oh, most definitely. And since you've mentioned that, with the construction of the new high school, new middle school, and other buildings in the district, what is something that you would like to see from the school district, be it programs, extracurriculars, little out of school clubs? What would you like to see?
Yeah, I think one of the things that was missing was a vocational piece, but now that's being addressed by the Superintendent Jolly and the school board. I'd like to see our students get a more global perspective in their Warrensville world. My kids, when they were in high school, there was always a trip to Europe or Spain. I'd like to see some of our kids get some exposure like that. I know it's going to take money to do it, but there are Warrensville alumni out there that would be more than willing to participate in that spin to give our kids the exposure. Because anymore today, you're not competing against the kids in Bedford or Maple Heights or Cleveland Heights. You're competing with the kids in China. You're competing with the kids in France. You're the kids in England, and we need to get our Warrensville kids in that circle so that they can have that growth and development. And at the end of the day, they'll become much more powerful citizens of our participating citizens in our country. And we
Oh,
need to do some
definitely.
things like that. And then whatever the superintendent wants to bring into the school system to help the kids and get them to the next level, we have to be very supportive of that. Very
Yes.
supportive of it. Mm-hmm.
Almost definitely. And for our last question for today, before we wrap, and I really enjoyed having you here. And you've mentioned earlier in the conversation that everyone measures success differently. What does success look like for you? In a lot of other people's eyes, you're extremely successful, and I'm sure you are aware, but what do you view as success?
Okay. When we started out, I thought building a $100 million business was it. That would be the ultimate as far as I was concerned, but it's not. The success to me is being able to create something that's appreciated, by my peers, and then taking what you've created and being able to open the door to bring some of that success to others and help them become successful as well. Growing an organization is important, especially in a business, but when you can grow that organization and help others come along with you and grow their organizations as a part of what you're doing, I think that's really, really, really special. Now, I also thought that if I grew a successful business and I have an opportunity to pass it along to my kids, and then they can to get it out there and maybe make it a 100-year-old organization, which is, hey, I view that as successful as well. But sometimes, your kids, in my case, my kids don't want to do what I'm doing. They view it as my passion. And while it's been great for them, they want to do other things. And I'm good with that. So we're trying to find others to keep it going because we know what we've been able to do by supporting and helping our community, creating jobs for our community, jobs with authority and responsibility. So I feel that I'm quasi successful, but I'm 73 now. So,
Yeah.
I'm on the sunset side of things. So I guess I have to be satisfied with where I'm at. And that's not a bad thing because we've been able to grow an organization, be successful. There's not a building in downtown Cleveland that our organization hasn't touched in some way. We've been able to hire a lot of people in our community, a lot of young people we've helped with through the apprenticeship program. So I think we've done a lot of positive things. I know there's a lot more work to be done, but I think we've done a good part of that work. And so I'd have to say that I view what we've done as pretty successful at this point.
Oh, that's so wonderful. And it's really nice hearing from people who have done well, knowing that they still have a hunger and they still have a thirst for what they do every day, which is important in order to maintain something successful and lasting, which I really appreciate knowing. We have a comment or a question from a viewer, a Mitch. They said, we as a society are in an interesting place. Pandemic, supply chain economy. Has this affected your business? If so, in what way?
Yeah, the supply chain is affecting it now in the fact that we can't get a lot of equipment we need to be able to do some things. A perfect example of that, we've been asked to participate in the Intel project in Columbus. As you know, Intel is doing a $20 billion chips facility in Columbus. The mechanical systems down there, which is what we install, is a $2 billion effort in the two buildings. They want to get out now in front of getting all of their HVAC equipment in place prior to the need for the equipment, because air conditioning equipment is like a year wait now. So you could be a year getting your equipment. So they want to get out in front of it and try and get as much of the stuff purchased as possible. We're having that same issue with the neurological facility at Cleveland Clinic. That project, we started doing pre-construction, budgeting and estimating about a month ago. And we're set for construction, at least our portion of the construction is going to start in July of 23. And Cleveland Clinic is already looking to get as many pieces of equipment in place now, so they'll have it, because of the supply chain is so screwed up. The pandemic is another thing. We went through that pandemic and we lost 50% of our business during that time. It was a real struggle for us. And we're just now getting to the point where you can see the light at the end of the tunnel and know it's not a train, coming back. So, that's starting to turn our business around. So because of it, now we have a lot of work and we're turning down different opportunities to do some things. But that supply chain is going to hurt for a while longer because it's a bottleneck now, and we have to get through it. But it's going to have a devastating effect on some businesses. Fortunately, we have an opportunity, because we have our projects down the road a little bit, to get out in front of it and hopefully make a difference. Good question.
Oh, excellent. Well, this has been a really wonderful edition of Tiger Talks, and I'm so glad that you were able to join us. With all the things going on, the pandemic, the new schools being built, it's nice to know that there are alumni that still want to make an effort in interacting with the students, offering them something different in terms of career opportunities. And I really appreciate you taking your time to do Tiger Talks today.
Oh, no problem. Love doing it.
Thank you so much. So with that, I would like to close and say that, Tiger Talks is about looking at Warrensville Heights and the students that they produce, the alumni they produce, and the people who ultimately come back and do support the community, like as you do. And I really appreciate that. And I really like knowing that there are people out there who are successful, they still have a hunger, and more importantly, they view helping others as a form of success.
No problem here. Warrensville can always count on me if they need me.
Yes, they can. And we also have a compliment to you from El Mitchell. They said, "Thank you for putting out the message to encourage the option of trades for our younger people."
Thank you.
So I want to thank you once again, Mr. Coleman, for taking time to do a Tiger Talk. And I hope that we can interact more in the future, and we can have more input from you in terms of ideas, or just knowing what it is that you're up to, and telling students about it and seeing what they think and if they like to join.
Okay.
Yes. And I'd also like to mention that I am part of the committee, the planning committee for the Final Roar that will be next May. And the Final Roar is an event, a weekend-long event to celebrate the history of the high school that's on Northville Road, as we make room and as the construction of the new high school takes place right now. And at the Final Roar, it'll be May 25th through the 28th. There will be an open house. There will be an alumni basketball game. There'll even be a prom. So I really hope to see you and a lot of other people there. And if you have any questions about details or ideas that you'd like to share, please feel free to let me know. So,
Okay.
yeah, thank you.
Good luck. Good luck and congratulations.
Good luck to you as well. So with that in mind, thank you everyone for coming to Tiger Talks. I really appreciate everyone coming here. I hope that you have a wonderful evening, a restful night, and that you tune in next month for our next Tiger Talk. All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.